Now we're ready to build two more modules, but let's test this one first. So I'm just going to select this here, make sure I have the Move tool active. And then if we simply duplicate this, Control D, and then keep that Control key held down, I just want to slide this over just to make sure that the edges line up cleanly. So I'm just going to snap that into place, zoom in there, and you can see we've got a pretty clean alignment. There's a little bit of a gap right there between these two tiles, but it's probably fine. We'll test building a nav mesh on this later, and if there are any problems, we can always make some small adjustments. But you can see here, just as a very simple demonstration, this is the entire point of creating a module like this. You can see we can quickly and easily create duplicates and snap these together. Okay, looking good. So let's go ahead and delete those. And I'm just going to reselect the Floor A module and simply hide it. Just turn off the checkbox there in the inspector. And the next thing we'll work on is this bridge here. So let's go back to our FBX assets. And here's our bridge 01 FBX. Let's drag this into the bridge A geo group and have a closer look. Okay, again, we do want this pivot point to be centered. So same process here. We're going to switch into the top view in isometric mode. So shift and then click on that y-axis. All right, this bridge looks like it's already 2 units here in the vertical dimension, which is great. If I select bridge A and ensure the Move tool is active, this represents the center pivot point for the module. So then I'll reselect the bridge geo and just slide this over and just kind of ballpark the center line. So I'll just get that as close as I can. Then switch to the rect tool again and just bring these edges in a little bit. I generally recommend scaling geometry down versus up. The reason is it minimizes texture stretching, but of course we could have gone the other way. We could have stretched this out. You can also just visually evaluate your results and make a determination about whether you should be scaling the object up or down. In this case, I'll just scale it down. Okay, so about 4 units there in length. All right, let's go to the x-axis and see where this thing is. Okay, again, let me select bridge A, see where that pivot point is. All right, so we do want our pivot point to be, again, on the top surface here of the bridge. So we'll reselect the bridge, and then I'll just drag this down a bit. Okay, so that grid line there goes right across the top of that bridge surface, right about there. Okay, if we look at the z-axis, our next step is we need to add some supports here for the bridge. Again, the bridge is also going to operate like a raised platform, so we need to stack up or put some pillars on each side of it to give it some height. So let's have a look in our FBX assets here. We do have some pillars. We have an assembled pillar, which is pillar 01, and then we have some pillar pieces here, 2, 3, and 4. Let's go ahead and drag pillar 1 into the bridge A geo group and have a look. All right, so initially what I'll do is just position this. These bridge elements will typically be connected to a floor platform. So that means that we can actually overlap these supports past the edge of the bridge. So I'm just going to eyeball this into place here, just kind of guess about where that should be. Let's go back to the y-axis here for our top-down view and take a closer look. Okay, that actually looks like it's probably going to be fine. We don't really need this piece to be modular because these are freestanding pillars. Let's go back to that x-axis. If we select this, if we click a couple times, we can actually select this base piece right here. And then what we'll do is simply duplicate this to give this pillar some additional height. So Control D to duplicate. Again, just slide that down. Do this a few times. You can even multi-select these, duplicate them to make this go a little bit faster. All right, there's 5 of those. That's probably enough. And again, you can rotate a couple of these if you like to add a little bit of variety. Okay, so there's one pillar. So Now we can simply duplicate this. Again, Control D, and then we'll just move this to the other side of the bridge. And let's go back into the top-down view here, just so we can align these cleanly. So that should be right about there. Okay, that looks like it should work just fine. Again, the bridge surface on top here is scaled correctly to fit with the grid. So why don't we go ahead and make a prefab of this, and then we'll test this out with our floor module. So again, we'll scroll down a little bit, locate that modules folder right here in the project, and we'll simply drag bridge A into modules. Okay, and then we'll unhide floor A. And then I'll reselect the bridge here, and then holding down Control for snapping, I'm just going to slide this over. You can see that it aligns very nicely right there where that connection is. And then if we just pop into perspective mode here, we can get a look at how those connect. Looks pretty good. Height looks good. Yeah, I think that's going to work just fine. Okay, let's duplicate this bridge and slide another copy over here on the x-axis. Control D and then Control and slide. Okay, if we slide that one over, you can see that we can get them to connect nice and cleanly, but we do have a duplicate pillar here. So this is potentially a problem. Because we have duplicate geometry here, we might end up with some z-fighting or some other visual artifacts. So what we're going to do now is we'll rename this duplicate to bridge B. And let's just slide it over a little bit here. And we're just going to remove the pillar on this side of it. So you can just select all these pieces on this side and then press delete. There will be a warning here about breaking the prefab. We do want to do this because we actually want to create a new prefab. So click continue. And then we'll simply drag bridge B down to that modules folder in the project. Then if you reselect, you should be able to snap it back over into place. And now we have a nice clean connection, and we don't end up with a duplicate pillar. In fact, if you duplicate this again and then slide it on the x-axis, you can see that we can build a bridge of any length. Okay, so I'm going to delete this duplicate. So we now have floor A, and bridge B in our scene here. So this is definitely a good starting point. In the next video, we'll create a wall and a set of stairs.